Let's talk narcissistic abuse and manifestation. So, this video is going to be primarily for people who have been raised by somebody who has extremely narcissistic tendencies or is narcissistic on a real level. So, this is not to blame anyone. This is to understand that one, those people were only spewing the projections that they felt about themselves, externalized, right? So when we internalize them as an empath, as a codependent, as somebody who says, okay, you're the authority and you're right, and I just want to please you, we then have to rectify these twists and turns within ourselves. So I would like to actually stop calling it narcissistic abuse as a cultural phenomena, and those of us who've been raised by it or have been affected by what that thought pattern does to the psyche, we understand it's actually that we are people who are narcissistically confused, right? The confusion is just like, what is going on here non-stop? So as a narcissistically confused person, I understand that that's also what the people who have affected me with the same confusion that I now have, they were going through that themselves. They just externalized it, where I am a kind of, I have the nervous system and I am the kind of person who internalizes that. So when it comes to manifestation, this idea of wanting for me. So I'm going to share my story so you can look at how this works and operates for you. So as a kid, I came to the planet like, oh my God, there's horses and there's mountains and I can travel and all of these things are here and it's possible. I want that thing. And I would hear, you're so ungrateful. All you do is want, want, want. And it felt punishing and punitive for me to even express that I had a desire to have something that I said, oh my God, that's possible. And the messages I always got was, it's possible for other people, not for you. Not for me and not for you, right? So it's not, this person is not saying like, oh, this is bad for you and it's only not possible for you. They believe this about themselves. So they wanted you, and as twisted and messed up as it sounds, this was their way of protecting us from the disappointment of them not being able to give those things to us, right? But what that does to the psyche is it twists us up. And now, as an adult, I am the kind of person who, I don't leave my territory. What comes in, I will slay like a motherfucker, but I don't leave my territory. And in business, in personal relationships, and putting myself out there and expanding to meet somebody even that I like as a friend. If I go somewhere and I say, oh wow, that person looks really interesting, I am not the person who's going to go walk up to them and say, hey, I'm Stace, how you doing? As much as you might think that that's me, that's not me. I'm going to sit back and go, am I allowed to approach this person? Is this my territory or is this their territory? I would never, it feels predatory, right? To even expand beyond my own territory. So when it comes to manifesting and when it comes to wanting, what I've realized in the self-inquiry that I'm asking you to embark on is that my manifestations, my desires come with this twist that if I want it, I'm ungrateful. And if I'm ungrateful, I'm bad. So then I have this obsessive gratitude practice, which is actually coming from a fear-based, perfectionistic place. It's not, I am genuinely, like, and I do mean this, I think the most grateful person I personally have ever met on a real level. And there's this overlay to that says I'm practicing gratitude because I'm ungrateful and because I'm bad if I'm ungrateful, and because the only way to be a good person is to be grateful for what I have. And if I'm grateful for what I have, I shouldn't want more because all I do is want, right? So I even remember I was probably 5 years old and standing in the elevator and my mom said to me, all you do is want, but I said, well, why can't I have that? She said, money doesn't grow on trees. And I said, well, I thought it grows because it's from paper. I thought like paper is what makes money. And she told me I was a smartass. Obviously I know now that money is not paper, it is cotton, but still the psychological whiplash of going, okay, well, even though money is something that's grown from the earth and it's here for all beings and all people, I am not allowed to have it. And I'm not allowed to want it. So there's this twisted thing in me that even says, if I want this thing, I'm ungrateful. And there's other people in the world who clearly deserve it and who clearly need it. Like there's countries without clean water, right? Me wanting something is in my psyche, even though if I didn't ever have access to the outer world, the soul that came to the planet would say, oh my goodness, this is here and this is available for me. And oh my gosh, mommy, you know, like my creator, can we figure out a way to like get me a horse or to like, how can we do that thing? And what I would get is, you're not allowed to have that thing. And you're ungrateful if you even want that thing because look at all these other things I'm providing for you. So the manifestation in adulthood, for me, has come from this space of, I allow people to come in to my world, but it feels predatory for me to go out and to extend myself into the world. So even here, I've never marketed, I've never paid for an ad, I've never done the externalized normal adult things that are required for a business. Not because, you know, there are some psychological hang-ups that I have about that, but it's purely because it feels predatory and inauthentic and like I'm not allowed to express myself out in the world, because if I want to express myself, I am bad and I'm ungrateful for what I have, okay? It's taken me years of inquiry to understand this braid that is a block to my own manifestations. So I want you to look at for yourself, why are you not allowed to want what you want, right? And mine are, it's irresponsible, it's selfish, it's irrational, it's definitely unnecessary, right? And then if you were allowed to want those things, what would you want? Like if you were allowed to want anything in the world, what would you want? And when you write this list, you're going to see that on an energetic level, some of the things that you say, okay, I would want this thing if I was allowed to want it. Some of those things have less of an energetic charge for you. And on the other side, you know, you're gonna say, okay, I want a house by the river, right? This is one of my manifestations. I want a house by the river, but it's unnecessary and it's selfish to want that. I have a beautiful home. Like, what is my problem? Like, can I just be happy with what I have? I want a house by the river. And actually it feels, what's more true is it feels biologically necessary for my particular body to be on the water. So I have this charge that says it's unnecessary and you're ungrateful if you want that thing. That thing cannot manifest for me unless I separate the two out and say, okay, it is somehow, actually, even though it feels unnecessary, I'm allowed to want that thing. And that thing, because what I have associated is I'm bad to want that thing, so that thing is bad somehow, right? Like I'm projecting onto it, like even it's so subconscious, and this is why I'm asking you to do the work of the inquiry. It's so deeply subconscious. But if I want that thing, that means I'm bad, and that thing must be bad. Like if I even got that thing, something bad would happen to me. I'd be punished because I don't deserve that thing because it's unnecessary to have, and I'm not grateful for what I have if I actually get that thing. The universe, I'm not an open channel for delivery in that braided twist of a manifestation saying, I want this thing, but I'm also ambivalent because I don't know that I'm allowed to have this thing, and I'm selfish if I have this thing. And there's so many twists and turns and ties that say that thing is not for you, and it's bad if you want it, and you are an ungrateful human being if you want it, yada, yada, yada. So sit like a scientist with this list and notice the charge that you have for some things that are the things that you would want if you were allowed, and some of the things don't have as much of a charge, right? And for me, what doesn't have as much of a charge is the idea of being a writer and being backed by a team as a writer, right? Like that to me actually feels the most aligned, least selfish. It feels like my alignment if I was in my truest essence. Even though I might be sitting here having this conversation with you on a YouTube channel, what's true is I'd be writing because I was just having this conversation the other day with somebody who she's like somebody who is available to like unload, just like her words would be, I'll slice a bitch, right? And even though that happens in my head, I never externalize that. And I am not a person literally who has ever unleashed. I mean, if you cage me, if you put me in like a corner, I'm going to unleash, but like that's the absolute like only way somebody could get me to unleash. I unleash through my writing, right? So if you're like me and you have a nervous system that is dainty and, oh, I'm not allowed, and I don't like confrontation, and I don't know how to express myself in this moment because I'm frozen. Even though I know you're being a dick, and I know that you're wrong, and I know that I could stand in my power in a different way, intellectually, my nervous system is like, I can't believe this is happening. I can't speak. And that's because for people like us, if we tried to express ourselves when somebody was unleashing their own emotions, it would be worse. It would be far worse. We would either get hit worse, we would get shamed worse, we would, the punishment of our own expression would be far worse if we actually expressed ourselves. So then what we do is we repress ourselves, right? And our nervous system is wired to go, okay, conflict, repress, because that out of control, that person who's now unleashing is out of control. And the only way to settle the temperature of the atmosphere is to be withdrawn in a frozen space and just let them do their thing, because it's going to pass way quicker if I just freeze, right? My writing is my unleash. So right now I'm going to plug Imperfectly Sane. If you haven't bought it yet, please do it. I hope that it supports you in your journey as it has supported me in my own journey, but it is available on Amazon. So, and also check out my Facebook chat or my Facebook page, because that is also a place where I unleash my writing. So I'm saying all of this to say that this aspect of even wanting what I want, there is facets of it that feel so aligned to me that nobody could even say that's selfish, unnecessary, and whatever. Because on the deepest level of me, I could say if I was allowed to want anything, I would want a house by the river. Sure, that's true. But what's more true is if I was allowed to want anything, I would purely be a writer. And that feels like, okay, on a guttural level, I'm allowed to say that, right? Like there's a part of me that's ashamed. Like, you're not that good. You're not even, blah, 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 blah. You're not allowed to want that. Even though I have people, somebody posted the other day, this is my favorite writer on the planet right now, which is like, my mind is blown by even hearing that. But the thing is that I feel like I'm not allowed to even say that, because if I want that, I'm being predatory. I'm wanting something from you, which is not true. I just want to write because that's the way that in which I unleash in a creative way. So if you also are somebody who's frozen, having that creative outlet, that artistic outlet to unleash is absolutely necessary, okay? Because you're going to find maladaptive ways to unleash if you don't unleash through a creative means. And for me, that has always been writing. And please read Imperfectly Sane, because you'll understand the whole process of what I even mean by that. And hopefully you'll write a new story. But take this list, do with it what you will, but sit with the parts that feel so aligned that nobody could even talk you out of it. Nobody could say that it was selfish to want that thing. Nobody can interfere with your soul's desire to manifest that thing. And once you get even a little close to that little alignment, you're going to be able to feel the basis of your core, your soul essence. And from there, the other manifestations will just become secondary, which is what they actually are. Those other manifestations that I would want if I was allowed to want, they're literally secondary to the sole purpose of which I came into the planet, which is to write the best content for people like us who have been toxically shamed and subdued and taken out of our own expression. And we have been put into a place of repression, and we're afraid to come out. We're afraid to come out of hiding. So my work on the planet is I want to write the best content so that you, as a person who understands the shame and the repression that comes with somebody saying you're not allowed to be yourself, you're not allowed to want what you want, you're not allowed, you're not allowed, you're not allowed. All I want to do is write for you and write for me, the me that is speaking to myself every single time I write, saying, girl, you will rise. You will rise. You're allowed to, just go to my Facebook. You'll see what I'm talking about that you will rise thing. But write the list. Feel into the manifestations that don't have as much of a charge for you, where you go, yeah, I'm not really allowed to want the house by the river. I'm not really allowed to want that like idea of going on family vacations every single year to exotic places. That's like unnecessary, right? Feel into the ones that feel most aligned. And from that place, everything else is going to become secondary. You're going to see who you actually came to be instead of like these outer overlays of like, okay, well, I actually know that the potential is here for me to have these things, but who did I come to be? And once you get into the alignment and allow yourself to be what you came to be, instead of trying to be something that they told you should be, or trying, to be somebody who doesn't admit that what's true is you want to be a writer and you're doing all of these other things to like, survive. But what on a soul essence is true is this one thing. Find out what that one thing is that doesn't bring up a charge for you about if you want things, why are you not allowed to want? And then if you want it, even though nothing could talk you out of wanting it, okay? There's going to be less of a charge. You're going to say, actually, that's selfish. Actually, that's actually really exactly what's most true about me. And I'm allowed to let that be true, okay? Do that work. Do the work of asking yourself, why am I not allowed to want what I want? And if I were allowed to want what I want, what would I want? And compare the two like a scientist. And when you can feel the lesser charge, you know exactly where you're supposed to be. And from there, everything else is secondary. I hope that this is helpful for you today. And I hope that you can, even if you weren't somebody who was outright told you're not allowed to want things. I mean, my work is easy because it was covert, right? I didn't deal with somebody who was, it was overt. I didn't deal with somebody who was covert about like their confusion upon me, okay? But you have, even if it's so subtle and it's so in the subconscious mind, you have, if you don't have what you want at current in any area of your life, it's because you were given the message that you weren't allowed to want that thing, because if you wanted that thing, you were bad or you were ungrateful or whatever. So also another tidbit in this is, if you have a gratitude practice, which you should have, be careful not to manically be in a gratitude practice. Your gratitude practice it can't come from perfectionism. It can't come from, I have to be grateful to be good and then I'll get what I want. There's ambivalence there. If you are simply in the being of the gratitude, then you know that you're actually in a gratitude practice instead of doing a gratitude practice. All right, I love you guys. Thanks so much for being here and supporting me. And if you are new to my channel, please subscribe. That is literally the first time I've ever said that. And it doesn't feel predatory to say it today, which is really amazing. So I'm gonna, I think, expand a little bit and step out of my own territory, and hope that whoever I meet along the way comes along with me in a place where we can, self-express, be authentic, love all of our parts, our bad parts, our good parts, and everything in between, and integrate all of them so that we can actually be in a relationship with ourselves where we're not suicidal or homicidal or, constantly feel disconnected from the version of ourselves that we think that we came here to be. Bye.